Welcome once again to 9/11 Illumination, where we shine the light of truth on the official conspiracy theory of the September 11th attacks, confront our fears with an open and honest mind, and seek justice and accountability as the best way forward to peace. I'm your host and producer, Gary Fox. Welcome. I would like to thank my director tonight, Jeremy Reddinghoff. And today we have a show for you that is really amazing, if I don't say so myself. It's our 12th show. It's the Building 7 show. The entire night is devoted to Building 7, which I'm sure you know a little bit about if you've been watching the show, but we're going to get into it. Next year will be the 10th anniversary of the September 11th attacks, right? And what did we see? Bumper stickers, signs. For the first year after September 11th, there were two words everybody said and everybody saw. Two words. If you remember what they were, never forget, right? 9/11, never forget. Everybody said, I'm never going to forget. And I'm sorry to say, with 10 years coming up, many of us have forgotten. So we're going to take you with this first video right back to the day. You're going to watch the news reports of that day, September 11th, and all of these are focused on Building 7. And pay close attention to the times and what people are saying. They're talking about explosions, which you don't hear about anymore, but let's never forget what actually happened on that day. Start with this Building 7 compilation. Take a look at this.
Why do you think that part of the component of news coverage around the country every year is the excitement and the fun that people get watching an old building being demolished, and they wire it very carefully for days, and it's a very careful operation in order to make sure that a building comes down safely. I think the last one we saw was when they brought down one of the old casinos in Las Vegas. I mean, this is just stunning to see these things come down.
And then late afternoon, 5 p.m., still another building collapses. 7 World Trade Center.
That's coming here.
I told you that sucker was gonna go.
That's coming here, isn't it?
What, the cloud?
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, yeah.
About an hour after the actual explosion, which was about 9:15 in the morning. If you wanted to calculate a time to cause maximum disruption, you would calculate that time as the start of the working day and perhaps the biggest, busiest complex in the world.
That's 47 stories tall. There you can see it going. So this happened, some 6 hours or so after the collapse of the World Trade Center. Presumably, it was so close to the World Trade Center that it had been weakened by the explosions and the collapse of those buildings.
And since the most recent collapse, which happened just a short while ago, Building 7, a 47-story building that's part of the World Trade Center complex.
This is Building 7 in the World Trade Center area is collapsing. Now, whether we don't even know whether this was something that was engineered for safety reasons or it just happened as a consequence of the two collisions this morning. That building had been evacuated when the collapse occurred.
This was known as Building 7 at the World Trade Center, and that is fresh video you're looking at of that coming down.
Now, again, they were able to get everybody out of that building before it collapsed. So I don't know whether it was accomplished by demolition experts or whether it just happened as a consequence of what occurred earlier today.
It's that building number 7 was going to collapse. That appears to be what has happened now. I don't know exactly how many stories the building is, Dan, but standing at the base of it, watching it burn about an hour ago, it looked to be something on the order of 50, 60 stories, as you said, a very, very large office building.
It was an abrupt, total, and complete collapse at the speed of free fall.
In fact, you were just told by police that you should move out of your apartment, Fabiana. You've got Carolina here.
Yes. They advised us to leave because we had...
Oh my God. Look behind us. Please stand in this way. Please be careful of your baby. This is it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. No. No. Listen.
We're okay. I think we're okay. Ashley, I think we're okay.
Building 7 ablaze at the moment and apparently getting ready to collapse.
It certainly did, and then moments after Vince and his crew left the scene, this happened.
The collapse of World Trade Center number 7.
We're looking at the tape now, Jeff.
Okay, good. This once again happened only within the last few minutes. We saw one of those smaller buildings just fall to the ground. We had heard earlier that it was structurally unsafe, that the buildings surrounding the Twin Towers had not been safe.
The adjoining 7 World Trade Center crumbled. Thousands injured. A death toll Mayor
attacks, at least these 2 that were carried out, and obviously connected then, therefore, to the 4 others. Right now, law enforcement sources are saying they are almost 99% certain, is what I'm being told, that Osama bin Laden is behind this. And in addition, obviously, to the cell phone calls, which is much more hard evidence compared to other things that they were getting earlier, they are still looking at all the warning signs. This is the only man who had the financial backing. This is the only man who had the infrastructure for the World Wide Web, the tentacles really all over the world to be able to carry out this. And they also say it would have taken at least many months to plan this type of thing.
We were watching the building actually because it was on fire. The bottom floors of the building were on fire, and we heard this sound that sounded like a cloud of thunder. Turned around, we were shocked to see that the building was, it looked like there was a shock wave ripping through the building, and the windows all busted out, and it was horrifying. And then, about a second later, the bottom floor caves out, and the building followed after that, and we saw the building crash down all the way to the ground. We were in shock.
Folks standing here on the corner of Leonard Street and West Broadway, we were just sitting here watching all the smoke pouring up from number 7. Number 7 is the kind of reddish-brown building that's towards the north end of the complex. And although we really couldn't see much damage on it, there was smoke pouring out of it here for hours. And folks just kind of standing around knowing about it. And then I wasn't watching. I just could tell from the reaction of the crowd what had happened because I heard it already before. The gasps, the screams, people immediately turning and starting to run, even though we're probably a dozen blocks from the center itself. People starting to run away from the scene. And I turned in time to see what looked like a skyscraper implosion. It looked like it had been done by a demolition crew. The whole thing just collapsing down itself. And another big, huge plume of gray and white smoke shooting up into the air. And then more of the smoke billowing up the street here. So that's number 1, number 2, and now number 7 that have come down from this explosion. And folks just simply can't believe it.
It's amazing. Amazing, incredible, pick your word. For the 3rd time today, it's reminiscent of those pictures we've all seen too much on television before when a building was deliberately destroyed by well-placed dynamite to knock it down.
Well, you heard Dan Rather say it right there. Reminiscent of a building with well-placed dynamite deliberately knocked down. And that is exactly what happened. But the official story, the 9/11 Commission report came out. They didn't mention Building 7 in the first Commission report at all. They just ignored it, just like the rest of the media has ignored it. But as you just saw, a 47-story steel building at 5:25 in the afternoon just came straight down, boom, just like a controlled demolition. Now, the NIST report says the official cause of collapse was fires. Okay, fire caused it to come perfectly straight down. As a comparison, we're going to take a look. We're going to go to Madrid, Spain, a few years ago at the Windsor Tower. there was a fire that burned there. Take a look at this and compare it to Building 7.
Madrid, Spain. The capital city's landmark Windsor Towers climbed 32 stories into the sky. But tonight, the whole thing is in danger of coming down. Fire breaks out on the 21st floor. The result of an electrical short. Nearly 200 firefighters race to save the historical marker. But their hoses can't reach the upper stories. The blaze ravages its way toward the roof of the building. Flaming debris rains onto the street. The neighborhood is quickly evacuated. Emergency personnel work through the night, battling temperatures of nearly 1,500 degrees. Then, shortly after 3 a.m., the top 6 floors collapse. The skyscraper burns and crumbles. By morning, most of the remaining floors have been gutted by the inferno. And soon, all that remains of the building is a smoking steel skeleton. The once towering structure must now be completely demolished after the biggest fire in the city's history. The Madrid skyline will never be the same, and neither will those who witnessed this night of high-rise horror.
Now, before September 11th, there were dozens and dozens of fires in skyscrapers, and never did a skyscraper ever collapse, steel-structured, steel-framed skyscraper, which is why all the firemen went in to save people, and they rushed in those buildings. They had no reason to think it would collapse. And since, after 9/11, there have been more fires, as you just saw, and all the buildings are standing when the fire is out. Now let's come to the next video. Talks about World Trade Center 7. All the reports that came out beforehand that it had already collapsed, and all the reports of explosions in the base of it early on in the day, and it didn't come down. But foreknowledge, there were people who knew that it was going to come down, and we'll watch this next video, 2 minutes long, World Trade Center foreknowledge of the collapse of Building 7.
Perez, the Israeli foreign minister, a long time Israeli leader in any number of governments, joining us from Jerusalem tonight, where it is a little bit after 11 o'clock, about 10 minutes after 11. Thank you, sir, for joining us. We are getting information now that one of the other buildings, Building 7 in the World Trade Center complex, is on fire and has either collapsed or is collapsing. And you, to be honest, can see these pictures a little bit more clearly than I, but building number 7, one of the buildings in this very large complex of buildings that is the Trade Center, there were, and that is the right way to put it, there were the 2 towers, but then there are a number of support buildings around it, retail spaces, restaurants, office space, garages. The trains come in from New Jersey, bringing commuters, taking commuters back, come into the complex that is the World Trade Center, and now we are told that there's a fire there, and that building may collapse as well, as you can see. We can see, as we look now back downtown, we can see the billowing smoke. It is extraordinary to us, I guess, is how long this scene has gone on. The smoke has not cleared at all. It has not lightened at all. There was that horrific moment when the towers collapsed, and then we've been in this sort of situation ever since, as the fires continue to burn. Rose Arce, one of our producers who has been slowly and diligently making her way to the building, described the fires that she saw in the area of the towers themselves. And clearly those fires continue to burn at about 4:15 Eastern Daylight Time today in an unbelievable and awful scene in New York. Judy?
All right, you have to ask yourself, why would a reporter report that a building might have collapsed or is about to collapse? They're reporting that this building is going to collapse before it collapsed. Now, remember, a plane hit Building 1 and Building 2, but no plane hit Building 7. And there were other buildings around, just as close as Building 7 was, a hotel, other skyscrapers in New York that also got damaged from the first two coming down, and they didn't collapse. They didn't even speak about them. So you have to ask yourself, they must have been psychic, They knew this building was going to come down. Talking about fires, we saw the Windsor Tower in Madrid. Let's take a trip now to Beijing, China. There was a fireworks display going on next door or something. You'll see this video. You'll see fireworks. What's happening is fireworks are going off. That's what started the fire. And this is another fire that burned through the night. And let's take a look at this one. Compare it to Building 7. Amazing video, amazing fire. It burned for hours, right? Building 7, we saw it standing perfectly still when they were announcing it may collapse. There's no movement. There's smoke coming out. There's small fires, but nothing like that. That's a fire, an engulfed fire. And now we'll watch a quick 40-second video of the following day in Beijing of that tower you just saw. This is the aftermath of the Beijing fire. Picture's worth 1,000 words. A video, is worth even more. So we can compare fires in steel buildings and Building 7 and even World Trade Center 1 and 2. If you remember in the Windsor Tower, it burned. The top 6 floors did collapse, but the whole building didn't come down. And now the theory on Trade Center 1 and 2 is that the pancake effect, the top came down and knocked the rest of it down. But you can see in anything similar that 9/11 was the only 3 times in the history of the world steel structures came down due to fire. And it makes you wonder. It also makes me wonder why you haven't seen any of these videos on any news show. 60 Minutes, 2020, Dateline. Why don't they show this, investigate it? It's interesting at the very least, and it has to make you wonder. In Italy, though, they don't have the same problem we have with our media. This is a 5-6 minute video of Italian TV. It's called 7 is Exploding. More about Building 7. Subtitles, some of it's in Italian, but read the subtitles, and it's also very interesting. Hope you enjoy this.
Il punto più debole della versione ufficiale è certamente il crollo dell'edificio numero 7, poiché fino a quel giorno nessun edificio in acciaio era mai caduto per causa di un solo incendio. Il rapporto della Commissione per l'11 settembre, infatti, evita addirittura di nominare l'edificio, come se non fosse mai esistito. Chi invece non sembra avere dubbi in proposito è Danny Jovenko, un olandese che si occupa proprio di demolizioni controllate.
De onderste verdiepingen gaan eerst.
Ja, en de rest zakt er gewoon in. Dus dit is controlled demolition.
Zeker weten.
Zeker weten. Er is nagesprongen. Dit is in opdracht gebeurd. Dat heeft een team gedaan van experts.
Sempre a proposito dello strano crollo della torre numero 7, l'11 di settembre è accaduto un fatto molto curioso. Nella sua diretta televisiva di quel giorno, la BBC inglese ha dato la notizia del crollo della torre numero 7, che si chiamava anche Solomon Brothers Building, addirittura una ventina di minuti prima che questa crollasse.
Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
As you can see behind me,
Mentre la giornalista parla da New York, non si accorge che la torre numero 7 è ancora perfettamente in piedi.
we know that behind that there's an empty.
Sono infatti le 5 del pomeriggio e mancano circa 20 minuti al momento del crollo effettivo.
Financial prosperity of this city, but New York very much is.
La didascalia che compare sullo schermo in quel momento conferma il crollo avvenuto,
Lines are not working properly, and we know that.
mentre la torre, come si può vedere, è sempre perfettamente in piedi alle spalle della giornalista.
Into triage centers for.
Questo apparente paradosso in realtà ha una spiegazione abbastanza semplice. Quasi un'ora prima la CNN aveva già dato la notizia che la torre 7 era caduta o stava cadendo.
Thank you, sir, for joining us. We are getting information now that one of the other buildings, Building 7 in the World Trade Center complex, is on fire and has either collapsed or is collapsing. And
Naturalmente la torre 7 è ancora al suo posto. È quindi probabile che la BBC un'ora dopo abbia creduto che la torre fosse già caduta e quindi ha dato la notizia come se fosse già avvenuta. Ma come si poteva sapere del crollo dell'edificio addirittura un'ora prima che questo avvenisse, quando nessun edificio in acciaio al mondo era mai crollato per un incendio e quello che aveva colpito la torre numero 7 non era certo dei più devastanti? Pare infatti che pompieri e polizia stessero facendo evacuare la zona addirittura dall'1 del pomeriggio, perché sapevano che l'edificio sarebbe stato demolito. Sentiamo alcune testimonianze dalla strada.
All I can attest to is that by noon or 1 o'clock, they told us we had to move from that triage site up to Pace University, a little further away, because Building 7 was going to come down or being brought down.
Did they actually use the word brought down, and who was it that was telling you this?
The fire department, and they did use the word we're going to have to bring it down.
If you're on that building, if you're coming down, building is about to blow up. Move it back. All right, guys.
We are walking back. It's a building about to blow up.
Yeah, here's one of the guys. You can tell you I'm okay, all right? Here, hold on. You want to call your mother or something? Don't worry about me. We need to make calls right now.
Don't worry about me. We need to make calls right now.
L'edificio 7 non è quindi crollato a causa di un incendio, come dice la versione ufficiale, ma sarebbe stato demolito intenzionalmente. Ma perché allora non raccontare subito la verità? E in quel caso, se le autorità americane ci hanno mentito per l'edificio numero 7, perché non dovrebbero averci mentito anche per tutto il resto?
All right, welcome back. Unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, I don't know how you can watch these things on Building 7 and not come to the conclusion, not only that it was controlled demolition, but they knew in advance that it was going to happen. The BBC was asked about their, how they reported it, and all they did was apologize. That reporter, Jane Stanley, she's been questioned on it, and she doesn't want to speak about it. She just apologizes for the mistake, and that's it. At this point, I just want to make sure everybody understands. I don't know what happened on 9/11. There's all kinds of theories. All we are calling for is a new investigation. An investigation will lead us to the truth, and that's all we want is the truth. We don't know the truth, and if you think you know the truth, if you could watch these Building 7 videos and believe the official story, email me at 911illumination@yahoo.com. Now, Larry Silverstein was the leaseholder on the World Trade Center, and he talked about Building 7, and he said, pull it, and we're going to, pull it means pull it and the controlled demolition to bring it down. Let's listen to what he had to say.
A call from the fire department commander telling me that they were not sure they were going to be able to contain the fire. I said, we've had such terrible loss of life. Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull, and then we watched the building collapse.
Thanks for watching. I want to quickly announce Friday, May 7th, David Ray Griffin will be at the University of Hartford. Call the box office at 860-768-4228 for more information. I hope you can come out and see David Ray Griffin. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week on 9/11 Illumination.
I am out here studying stones, trying to learn to be less alive, using all of my will to keep very still even on the inside. I've cut all of the pertinent wires, so my eyes can't make their connection. I am